The sudden silence. The Galactic Council chamber was never silent. For centuries, it had been the loudest place in the galaxy, filled with voices of hundreds of species. Reports of trade, disputes, explorations, and new discoveries echoed through the towering hall. But on this day, the voices carried an edge of unease. Something strange had been reported from the region of Sol. Something about Earth. The first message had come from a trade guild. Their shipments of Earth's music, rare metals and medicines had stopped. No replies came from human stations. No cargo freighters left their ports. At first, no one cared. Trade delays were common. Pirates, storms, or technical issues could explain it. The council laughed when a few nervous traders spoke of Earth silence, but then more reports arrived. Human colonies on the edge of known space sent no transmissions. Patrol beacons that usually flashed bright with signals were dark. Not a single word, not a single sound came from the humans. Earth had gone silent. The council debated this as if it were a small problem. Some ambassadors joked that maybe humans had finally destroyed themselves. Others sneered that Earth was too weak to matter in the grand scale of the galaxy. But beneath the laughter, tension grew. Even the smallest races in the chamber knew humans were not simple creatures. They were unpredictable, stubborn, and full of strange ideas. A scout ship was sent to the edge of human space. Its commander, a proud reptilian officer, reported strange energy readings near the border. Then, mid-sentence, his transmission broke into static. His last words echoed through the council chamber. "Something is here with us, not human, not..." Then silence. His ship never returned. For the first time in many years, the council chamber grew quiet. No one laughed now. The silence on Earth suddenly felt heavier, more deliberate. The idea that humans were simply gone no longer seemed believable. It felt like they had chosen this silence. One ambassador, old and scarred from wars of the past, leaned forward. His voice was low but clear. "I fought the humans once," he said. "Do not mistake silence for weakness. When humans are quiet, it is because they are planning." The others shifted uncomfortably. Some tried to dismiss his warning, but the unease was spreading. They remembered human history, their wars, their resilience, their ability to turn disaster into strength. No species had adapted faster, fought harder, or endured longer than humans. And now, for the first time in living memory, humanity had chosen to disappear from the galactic stage. Outside the chamber, rumors spread across the stars. Merchants whispered that Earth's silence was not an accident but a move of power. On distant colonies, people told stories of seeing shadows in the void, giant structures moving slowly among the stars, blocking out starlight. But when asked for proof, there was none. Only broken signals, missing ships, and fear. Back in the council chamber, the leaders argued late into the night. Some demanded a stronger investigation, a fleet sent to Sol to uncover the truth. Others shouted that doing so might provoke humanity into open hostility. Fear clashed with arrogance and pride clashed with caution. The chamber grew heated until a single sound cut through, the deep hum of the central beacon, signaling a classified message. A council clerk rushed forward, trembling as he read the transmission. It came from a border station, one of the few close to human space. The message was short, only one line, and it ended with static. "The humans are not gone. They are watching." Panic rippled through the council. Some demanded the message be erased, hidden from the public. Others wanted immediate military action. But no decision could be made, for no one understood what the humans were doing, or why they had chosen silence. As the meeting ended, fear lingered in every corner of the chamber. Silence had never been so terrifying. For the galaxy, words were power, and silence meant weakness. But for humans, silence had always meant something else. It meant patience. It meant preparation. And now, the galaxy was beginning to realize the truth. Earth had gone silent. And that silence was louder than any war drum. Rumors of shadows, the silence of Earth spread like a cold wind through the galaxy. In the great markets of the trade hubs, Merchants whispered nervously. Goods from Earth, coffee, music recordings, medical nanotech, even their strange art, had vanished. Prices rose overnight. A single Earth-made violin was now worth more than a warship's engine. And still, not a single ship left human space. Some called it a collapse. They said humans had turned on each other, tearing their world apart in one final war. Others claimed it was a plague, something so deadly it wiped them out completely. But the rumors that traveled the fastest were the ones no one could prove. Stories of shadows in the void. Pilots returning from the edges of human territory spoke, in hushed tones of lights that were not stars. They claimed to have seen massive shapes moving silently, eclipsing entire clusters of stars before vanishing into darkness. Some said they saw rings of fire circling distant planets, too perfect to be natural. Others swore they saw structures drifting in space so large they could have swallowed fleets whole. But when asked for proof, they had none. Their navigation records were broken, their sensors scrambled, as if something had reached into their ships and erased the evidence. The council dismissed most of these tales as superstition, yet the fear was impossible to hide. In the lower decks of the chamber where aides and assistants gathered, the whispers grew into something like prophecy. The humans are not silent. They are watching. On a border colony far from Earth, a young alien officer named Raul listened to the rumors with growing dread. He had studied humans once long ago during his academy days. He remembered reading about their wars, their disasters, their strange ability to turn weakness into strength. Humans were fragile in body but not in spirit. Where other species broke, they adapted. Where others surrendered, they endured. The thought of them vanishing in silence seemed wrong. Deep in his heart, Raul feared the truth was worse than any rumor, that humanity had chosen this silence for a reason. Meanwhile, the council's debates grew more violent. Some leaders demanded a massive fleet be sent to Earth to force answers. They argued that the galaxy could not afford to let one planet control fear itself. Others warned that approaching humans blindly could trigger disaster. Old records of humanity's wars were brought out, showing how they fought with desperation and cunning, turning every weakness into a weapon. One elder, his voice trembling, said aloud what many already feared. If humans have built something in that silence, we will not survive the first strike. But no agreement was reached. The council fractured. Alliances cracked under the weight of suspicion. Every empire feared that the others might already be making secret deals with the humans, securing protection or new power. Trust, once fragile, shattered completely. And still the shadows moved. At the edge of human space, merchant vessels reported fleets that were not fleets, lines of dark shapes moving as one, as if obeying a single will. A patrol ship claimed to have recorded a heartbeat echoing through space itself, a sound so deep and powerful it shook their hulls. The ship returned with half its crew mad, whispering of human eyes in the void. The council tried to suppress these reports. But the galaxy had already changed. Fear fed on itself. Colonies near Earth's borders emptied overnight as civilians fled, abandoning entire worlds. Trade routes collapsed. Civilizations that once mocked Earth now whispered the same. Question in the dark, what are the humans building? In a quiet corner of the galaxy, an old warrior who had once fought against humans spoke to a group of young officers. His body was scarred, his voice cracked, but his words were steady. You do not understand them. Humans are builders. They are dreamers. They can create wonders in the ashes of despair. If they are silent now, it is not because they are broken. It is because they are preparing. And when they return, they will not return as the same humans you once knew. The officers shivered, but none argued. They had seen enough fragments, heard enough whispers to believe. Back in the council chamber, the debates ended with no resolution. The chamber lights dimmed, and for the first time in centuries, no sound echoed through the hall. The leaders sat in uneasy silence, their eyes fixed on the dark expanse of space shown on the great central screen. The Sol system shimmered there, quiet and still like a predator hiding in the shadows. No one dared to speak it aloud, but they all felt it in their bones. The galaxy had lived for too long thinking humans were only one world among many. Now, in their silence, humanity had become something else entirely, something the galaxy could not predict and perhaps could not survive. The first signs. The galaxy had grown restless. Rumors were one thing, but now the Council could not ignore the evidence beginning to appear. It started with the disappearance of the envoys. 3 diplomatic ships, each from different empires, had been sent into Sol space with orders to open contact and uncover the truth. They never returned. No distress calls, no wreckage, just silence. It was as if the void itself had swallowed them whole. The Council called for patience, insisting that perhaps humans had refused to respond. But in private, the ambassadors whispered the truth. Ships do not simply vanish without a trace. Something was interfering. Something powerful. On the outer rim of human space, fragments of proof began to surface. A small convoy, fleeing pirates, reported a shadow drifting between stars. At first they thought it was an asteroid, but then it turned, adjusting its path with impossible precision. No engines, no signal, no heat. Just a colossal dark shape sliding through the void, dwarfing their ships. Its surface shimmered faintly like metal catching the light, but there were no markings. The convoy fled, too afraid to watch longer. When their testimony reached the Council, it was dismissed as panic. Yet others came with similar stories. A mining outpost reported rings encircling a dead moon near Sol, glowing with faint blue, fire. A patrol ship swore they detected pulses of energy that matched no known technology, as if someone had written a message into the fabric of space itself. The Council tried to bury these reports, but fear could not be hidden. The galaxy's people already knew, and with every whisper the legend grew. In the darkened halls of the Council chamber, tension reached a breaking point. Voices clashed. "They are hiding," shouted one ambassador. "They are building weapons. In secret, if we do nothing, we will face an enemy beyond our control." Another hissed in reply. "And if we act rashly, we will provoke them." Humanity has always been dangerous when cornered. Do you want to bring fire upon us all? The arguments raged for hours, but no agreement was found. Every empire had its own fear. Some imagined fleets of human warships waiting in the dark. Others imagined biological plagues or weapons that could shatter planets. None imagined mercy. Only one thing was certain. The silence was no longer empty. It was full of warning. Far from the Council, along the border of human space, a lonely listening station picked up something strange. The station was small, manned by only a handful of officers, tasked with monitoring human transmissions. For weeks they heard nothing. But on the 30th day their receivers caught a sound. Not speech, not code. A deep, steady pulse. The officers stared at their screens as the signal grew stronger, pounding like a heartbeat across the void. Every few seconds it struck, rattling through their equipment, vibrating in their bones. They tried to trace it, but their instruments faltered. It did not come from one source, it came from everywhere. From Earth, from its colonies, from the darkness between stars. The commander ordered the signal transmitted to the Council. But halfway through, the station's lights flickered, the power died, and when it returned, the pulse was gone. So was their transmission. Records erased. The officers swore they had heard it, felt it. But the evidence was gone, as if the signal itself had reached in and erased their proof. Meanwhile, in forgotten corners of the galaxy, civilians spoke of sightings. Farmers on distant colonies claimed to see lights moving across their skies, patterns too exact to be natural. Traders spoke of ships larger than any city, gliding silently through starfields. Soldiers on the edge of Sol swore they saw shadows following them, their sensors blinded whenever they tried to scan. To the common people, one belief became unshakable. Humanity was not gone. Humanity was preparing. At last, the Council could not deny it any longer. The speaker, a tall insectoid elder with glassy eyes, stood before the chamber and announced what many feared. Something is moving in Sol, something vast. We cannot confirm its nature, but it belongs to humanity. The hall erupted in panic. Some demanded immediate war, to strike before humans could strike first. Others begged for diplomacy, for a desperate attempt at peace. The divisions ran deep, threatening to tear the council apart. In the chaos, an old veteran of the human wars rose. His voice was quiet, but the hall grew still as he spoke. You speak of striking them. You speak of peace, but you do not understand. Humans are not hiding because they fear us. They are hiding because they have become something greater. And when they step from the shadows, it will not matter whether we beg or fight. The galaxy will no longer decide its own fate. Humanity will. The silence after his words was heavier than any argument. And then, the first undeniable sign came. A trade fleet traveling near Sol's borders caught sight of something impossible. As they drifted past the black edge of human territory, the stars around them dimmed. One by one, entire constellations vanished, swallowed by darkness. Then from that darkness a shape emerged. It was not a ship, not as they understood ships. It was a structure, massive, endless, silent. Its surface gleamed with shifting light, smooth and black, stretching farther than their sensors could measure, and on its edge burned a single human symbol, the outline of Earth. The fleet fled in terror, but their recordings survived. When shown to the council, no one laughed. No one dismissed it. For the first time in history, the galaxy knew the truth. Humanity had built something vast, and the silence was overstory. Humanity revealed. For weeks the galaxy trembled under rumor and shadow. But when humanity finally chose to break their silence, it did not come with war drums, fleets, or threats. It came with a song. The first transmission arrived without warning. Across thousands of worlds, every frequency, every signal, every channel flickered at once. Merchants on distant trade hubs dropped their tools as their comm screens filled with a single sound. Soldiers on patrol froze as their ship radios carried a melody instead of orders. Children on faraway colonies stopped in their play as a deep, haunting chorus filled the air. It was human voices, millions of them. They sang in harmony, a sound both beautiful and terrifying, rising and falling like waves on a shore. No words were spoken, yet the meaning was clear. The galaxy had laughed at Earth's silence. Now the silence was broken, and it was broken with something no other species could have created. A song, not of weakness, but of unity. In the council chamber, delegates stood frozen. Some clutched their ears. Others wept openly, though none understood why. The sound reached into them, past pride and fear, striking something deeper. It was not just music, it was power. And then came the images. The council screens lit up with visions of Sol, not secret recordings, not rumors, but direct transmission, shown to every corner of the galaxy. Earth itself appeared first, wrapped in massive rings of light. Structures circled the planet, glittering like crowns in the dark. They were not weapons, at least not as the council understood them. They were something more, vast orbital fortresses and stations, connected by rivers of energy that pulsed like veins. The entire planet glowed as if surrounded by a living shield. Then came the fleets. Not warships, not in the sense the galaxy had known. These vessels were black and silent, colossal and elegant. Some stretched longer than moons, their hulls carved with shifting patterns of light. They did not move like machines, but like predators gliding through deep water, and their engines were silent. No heat, no trace of fuel, just a hum that rippled across space itself. One ship drifted past the cameras, and on its side burned a single phrase in human script: "We endure." The council chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted, some calling for war, others begging for alliance. But the voices were drowned out as the transmission continued. Human colonies appeared next. Planets once thought abandoned were alive with impossible structures. Cities floated in orbit, lit by suns of artificial light. Oceans glowed with vast harvest arrays, drawing energy from waves and storms. On barren moons, humans had built great fortresses, carved directly into stone, their shapes sharp and unyielding. Everywhere the same message was clear. In their silence, humans had not vanished. They had united, they had built, and then the final image came. A single human stood before the galaxy, clad in simple clothes, unarmed. Their face was calm, their eyes steady. When they spoke, the words were few, but they shook the stars. You watched us. You underestimated us. You thought silence meant weakness, but silence gave us time. We are ready now. The voice vanished. The transmission ended. The galaxy fell into silence once more. In the council chamber, panic erupted again. Some demanded immediate surrender, fearing humanity's fleets could wipe them out in days. Others snarled that humans were bluffing, that their power was exaggerated. But deep in their hearts, no one truly believed it. They had seen enough to know. Humanity had reached beyond anything the galaxy had imagined. The merchant guilds whispered of profit, already calculating how to beg for trade with this new power. Militaries trembled, knowing their fleets looked like children's toys compared to the silent giants drifting over Earth. Entire governments debated in secret whether to ally with humans, betray them, or hide from them. But none could escape the truth. Humanity had spoken at last, not with threats but with proof. They had shown what silence had built. Far from the council in the quiet corners of space, ordinary beings looked up at the stars with new fear. A farmer on a frozen world whispered to his child, "The humans are awake now. Pray they remember mercy." A pilot in deep space muttered to his crew, "If they wanted us dead, we'd already be gone." In every corner of the galaxy, one truth spread faster than light. Humanity had not just survived, they had ascended. Back in the council chamber, as the delegates argued, the old warrior from before raised his voice once more. "You see now," he said, his scarred face lit by the fading glow of Earth's image. They did not need to fire a single shot. They did not need to speak a single threat. They showed us what they had become, and in that, they have already won. His words settled like stone in the chamber. For the first time in centuries, the council leaders had no reply, and so the galaxy waited, trembling under the weight of what it had seen. For though the transmission had ended, the message remained clear. Humanity was no longer just another world. They were something greater, something unified, something patient. And in their silence, they had built a power that could not be ignored. The galaxy shifts. The transmission had ended, but its echo lived on. Across the galaxy, silence reigned, not the silence of peace, but of fear. The haunting human song, the sight of impossible ships, and the calm voice that spoke of readiness had burned themselves into the minds of trillions. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council did not meet in arrogance. The chamber was hushed, heavy with dread. Delegates who once mocked Earth now refused to even say its name aloud. It was as if speaking of humans too loudly might draw their attention. But the galaxy could not remain still. It began to shift. The first to break were the merchant guilds. Within days, secret envoys were sent towards Sol, their ships laden with treasures, desperate to reopen trade. They offered rare crystals, star-forged metals, even entire planets as gifts. But none returned. Their transmissions ended at the border, swallowed by the same silence that had started it all. Humanity answered nothing. Then came the empires. Some demanded war. Armadas gathered in hidden systems, commanders whispering of striking first before. Humans spread further, yet fear gnawed at them. Every simulation, every strategy ended the same way, with human ships gliding through their defenses like shadows, unstoppable and silent. Others chose surrender without battle. They prepared public declarations of alliance, ready to kneel before humanity's rising power. But even these messages went unanswered. Humanity had not asked for allies. Humanity had not asked for anything at all. The council fractured. Old alliances dissolved as each empire looked only to its own survival. The chamber that once echoed with the noise of unity now rotted with suspicion and fear. No one trusted their neighbor. No one trusted themselves. Meanwhile, the common people of the galaxy changed. In markets, on colonies, in homes, the story spread like fire. The humans have awakened. Children asked if the humans would conquer them. Parents whispered that perhaps the humans would save them from corrupt rulers. Soldiers doubted their orders, staring into the void, wondering if unseen human ships were already there. And everywhere, one phrase grew louder. Silence is strength. The words of humanity became a kind of legend, repeated like prayer. Civilizations that once mocked Earth now feared to speak against them, for fear the humans were listening. Far from the politics, near the quiet edge of Seoul, something stirred again. A lone explorer ship, foolish or brave, crept toward the system. Its crew was desperate, to see, to understand, to know. At first they saw nothing but darkness. Then as they neared the orbit of a barren moon, their sensors caught movement. It was not a fleet, not a station. It was a structure that dwarfed all they had seen before, a colossal ring stretching across half a planet's sky, glowing faintly, with blue fire. It pulsed slowly like a heartbeat, as if the entire construct were alive. And along its edge, a single message appeared in human script, broadcast into their minds as much as their instruments. We are patient. The crew fled in terror, their recordings intact. When the evidence reached the council, it broke what little unity remained. Some fell to despair, convinced humanity was preparing for a war beyond imagining. Others began to worship, calling humans gods who had ascended beyond flesh. But none could deny it. Humanity had not only survived, they had transformed. Back in the council chamber, the old warrior spoke once more. His words were heavy, final. You still do not see. They do not need to fight us. They do not need to speak to us. Their silence is their weapon. It keeps us divided, keeps us afraid. And every day we wonder, every night we fear, their power grows. Not because of what they build, but because of what we imagine. The chamber fell into stillness. He was right. Humanity had not fired a single shot, yet the galaxy was already broken. On distant worlds, leaders trembled. On forgotten colonies, civilians whispered prayers. In the darkness between stars, fleets hesitated to move. And over it all, humanity watched, silent, waiting. In the end, the galaxy did not know whether to hope or fear. Perhaps humanity would bring peace, perhaps they would bring war. But one thing was certain, the balance had shifted forever. The council no longer ruled the stars. Earth did, not with weapons, not with treaties, but with the loudest silence the galaxy had ever heard. And in that silence, the galaxy finally understood. Something had changed and nothing would ever be the same again.